I'll begin with a quote from Prof. Sartre, which says, reality which is identified with realism is obsolete as a theoretical mode, not because realism is a philosophy which seems to be bourgeois, but more particularly because the essential condition of human adventure are no longer realistic and no longer be conveyed in terms of little anecdotal stories. As opposed to reality or realism, the mythic is a whole situation which develops itself and not formulae which can be used to construct an anecdote inside a story. It is that mode which returns to the great fundamental theme of all theatrical, which is fundamental: man himself as an event and man inside that event as a historical phenomenon. This was an effort to define mythology from the perspective of what we are doing at this translation artist event, where we are trying to understand the interlingual and the intersemiotic translation. Whenever I stand here on the dais to welcome you all, I bow in reverence to the intellectual share that we have from the city. We have so many eminent people from the city today. I welcome you all to this discourse with Dr. Sonal Mansingh and Dr. Bibek Debroy, who are each in their capacity lighthouses in their fields, working on mythology through dance, abhinay, and languages. I also welcome Dr. Malashri Lal, who has been our guide ever since, and the Dean Emeritus Poetics, and is also the session chair for today evening. I request the distinguished speakers to please come and take their seat on the stage. Thank you. Now request Maladi to please take control of the evening and guide us through the discourse.
A very warm welcome to the audience members, of course, but to our wonderful eminent speakers, Dr. Sonal Mansingh and Dr. Bibek Debroy. It's indeed a rare privilege to be chairing this kind of a panel, and I know it is customary to say that such eminent speakers need no introduction, and I will not go into any elaborate introductions, but I want to flag one point which brings us together this evening, and that is both the speakers are very eminent and very important public intellectuals. Why do I say that? Because what's common to both of them is that they're innovators in their thinking. They are willing to be bold and are outstanding in their production.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure who my guru is. I have multiple gurus. So therefore, Sarvebhya Namaha. After that performance, and there is no other word for it, I am not sure what I should say. I'm not even very sure I should be speaking at all. Instead, I'd much rather give those 20 minutes to Sonal Mansingh. I'm honored that I've been invited to speak here, and I'm particularly honored that it's being chaired by a person whose writings I have admired for several years. I'm going to talk a little bit about the difficulties of translation. The difficulties of translation in general and the difficulties of translating from Sanskrit in particular. Although I've been translating from the Sanskrit, I have no business to be talking about it, because you may or may not know that I have no formal training in Sanskrit. You may not know that Sonal Mansingh is the one, you know a lot about her, you may not know that she is the one who has a formal Sanskrit degree. But thankfully she has now left, so I can now open my mouth. I will take as a trigger some of the things that she has said and about the difficulties of translation. Most of the stuff that I translate is poetry. And poetry is extremely, extremely difficult to translate. When we think of literature, we think of reading literature. Because we read literature in printed form. But the printed form, the script, is only a form. Literature is actually determined by language. And the word for language in many of our languages is bhasha. Bhasha is something that is spoken. Bhasha is not something that is written down. Bhasha is something that is spoken using the tongue. Bhasha is something that is heard using the ears. And one of the problems with translating is, how do I capture the sound? How do I capture the rhythm? How do I capture the nuance of that language? There is a story that is attributed to Kalidasa. It is a story that is attributed to Kalidasa because we know very little about Kalidasa and who he was and what he did.